Hey, Mike with No Problems Gaming here. In today's video, we'll be going through a new huge Nintendo Switch eShop sale and 10 games worth buying, all under $10, so let's get into it. Now the first game on today's list is Good Night Night. Now this is a retro-inspired dungeon crawler that plays similar to the Legend of Zelda titles from the 16-bit era. Now the game itself is roguelike, and so you'll play as a knight that's climbing up a tower, and you'll take on many different dungeons, tons of enemies, and challenging bosses. Now what's really cool about this game is it combines a lot of different mechanics all into one game. So it is roguelike, so the dungeons that you proceed through will all be procedurally generated. It also has a unique stealth mechanic and field of vision that your character has as you go through the dungeons. So you'll only be able to attack enemies if they're in your line of sight, and that will change depending on what obstacles might be in your way. On top of that, monsters will have the same type of mechanic, so if you're not in their line of sight, they can't see you and can't attack you. So it can lead to some unique strategy where you'll need to move around the board and attack enemies to clear out the dungeons. Now on top of that, you get a bunch of items that you'll be able to power up throughout the game, but you're limited by a set amount of weight that you can carry. But as you progress through the game, you'll be able to level up these items and eventually reduce their weight to 0, giving yourself sort of a permanent power-up boost. And so the gameplay is a lot of fun. If you like unique dungeon crawlers, roguelike elements, and addicting gameplay, I think you'll enjoy this game and it'd be worth checking out. Alright, the next game on today's list is Prinny, Can I Really Be the Hero? And so this is a spin-off game in the Disgaea universe, and this time around you play as a Prinny, which is like a penguin-like creature, which is sort of like the reincarnated form of evil humans that become virtually slaves to demons. And so in this game, you're a Prinny that's been enslaved to Etna, an evil demon, with a quirky sense of humor that's addicted to sweets. And so the premise of the game is that you're working for Etna and you need to find the most delicious dessert out there because someone stole all her sweets. And so you'll go through many challenging action platforming levels as the Prinnies, but another unique element is that Etna only has 1,000 Prinnies under her control, and normally you die in one hit, but you have a unique scarf that allows you to get hit 3 times to survive a little bit longer. But if you die with that Prinny, it counts the number down, and as I said, you only have 1,000 lives to beat the game. Now it is a pretty challenging action platformer, and it also has some similarities to classic action platformers like the Castlevania series, where you'll go through different levels, defeating enemies, and face off against challenging but unique, quirky bosses that fit right into the Disgaea universe. If you're looking for a new action platformer with a fun sense of humor and fun gameplay, I definitely recommend it. Alright, the next game on the list is Morbid, the Seven Acolytes. And so this is a dark fantasy game that's sort of like a combination between Dark Souls and the Diablo series. And so in this game, it takes place in a world that's been overrun by an evil plague and has created a bunch of mutated monsters that are threatening the world, and you go on a quest to defeat them and their monster leaders, the Acolytes, which are massive demonic monsters. And so it has a dark fantasy theme, like I said, but it's kind of an action hack and slash adventure style gameplay that's pretty unforgiving. And so you'll travel throughout the world going on different quests. There's additional side quests that you can play, fight through waves of enemies, and take on challenging bosses. You'll have different melee weapons that you can use for combat as well as guns, and throughout the game you'll be able to power up your character and their various stats. There's a lot of hidden secrets throughout the game as well, so if you're looking for a challenging action adventure game, this could be a great one worth picking up. Alright, so the next game on the list is actually 2 games, and it's the Knights of Pen and Paper bundle. And so you'll get access to both Knights of Pen and Paper 1 and 2, and both of these are classic turn-based RPGs where you'll go into the pen and paper realm and play through a Dungeons and Dragons-like campaign. And so what really makes this game a lot of fun is that it actually breaks the fourth wall where you're a bunch of players playing a Dungeons and Dragons-like RPG, and so you'll create classes for your characters in the game, but also outside of the game as well. So you'll need to choose whether you're going to be characters like the jock or the nerd or the pizza delivery driver, a Wookiee, and much more. And so there's a ton of different video game and nerd and pop culture references scattered throughout the game, which is a ton of fun. But the gameplay is a lot of fun as well. And so when you start off the game, you have a smaller party, and over time you'll be able to acquire new characters. But like I mentioned, it has this quest that you go through that takes place in the pen and paper world, but also it continually will break the fourth wall. On top of that, not only will you build your characters within the world, you'll also build out your game room, adding new additions like snacks, an upgraded game table, magazines to learn secrets about the game, and much more. And so if you like classic turn-based RPGs, I really enjoy the Knights of Pen and Paper series, and I definitely recommend this bundle as well, as you get access to the first and second game. Alright, the next game on the list is Akane the Unstoppable Edition. And so this is a classic retro-inspired action platforming game that's similar to games like Ninja Gaiden from the NES. And so the setting of this game again takes place in a dystopian future where almost all of humanity has been wiped out after a great war, and the remnants of humanity are fighting a resistance against evil robots and cyborgs that have taken over. And so you play as a ninja warrior who takes on this Akane army in hopes of rescuing humanity. And so again, it is that retro style gameplay and graphics, but it does have some unique elements to the game as well. So it's not just side scrolling, there's some vehicle levels thrown in the mix and challenging bosses that you'll fight as well. It's not a super long game, but it has great controls. And I think if you like retro action platformers like Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania or Shatterhand, you'll definitely enjoy this game as well. Alright, the next game on the list is Odorless, The Dark Call. And so this is an action-adventure game that's inspired by classic action platformers like the Castlevania series, but it also has some light Metroidvania elements to the game as well. And so you'll play as a warrior whose village was destroyed by demons and that has his son kidnapped, and you on a quest to try and rescue your son and take out these demons. And so you'll play through multiple levels, but again, as you unlock new abilities throughout the game, you'll be able to use those on previous levels to explore new areas, find hidden items, and much more. So again, it is kind of like that classic retro platformer, but also has some modern Metroidvania style elements to the game as well. It has a cool story, challenging platforming and bosses, a lot to explore, responsive controls, and great music. I think this could be worth picking up as well. Now, as a side note, if you think this game looks good, and the last one, Akane, that I just talked about, there's actually a bundle available right now where you get both games for the same price as what one of them is going for right now. So you might want to check out that option if you think both of these last two games look great. Alright, the next game on today's list is Wargroove. And so Wargroove is sort of like a combination between Fire Emblem and Advance Wars from the Game Boy Advance. And so in this game, you play as Mercia, a young queen, who has only recently become queen because her father was assassinated by an undead army from a neighboring kingdom. And so you go on a quest of revenge to take out this kingdom and protect your kingdom as well. And now it is a tactical RPG, and it is quite challenging, but the game has a lot of different accessibility features to it, which is really cool. So you can really have a sliding scale of difficulty instead of just a basic easy mode or hard mode or whatever the case might be. This time around you can choose how much damage you'll take from enemies, how much money you'll earn when you kill enemies, or even how often your special abilities will activate. The game has a decent sized campaign, but what's really cool is it gives you the option to even create your own campaigns and play campaigns and maps that other players across the world have created as well. It has a compelling story, but also the ability to play multiplayer where you can challenge other players around the world. You can do this in real time or kind of a turn-based style where you can make a move and then it goes back to the other player and they can make a move, where you don't actually have to be playing live against each other while this is all happening. So it's a cool feature, but if you like tactical RPGs and games from the past like Fire Emblem and Advance Wars, I think you'll really like this game. It could be worth checking out. Alright, the next game on today's list is Wallachia, Reign of Dracula. And so this game again is inspired by retro classics like Castlevania and Contra, and it's sort of a Castlevania style run and gun shooter. But instead of guns, you're using bow and arrows. And so in this game, you play as Elsin, a young woman that's out for revenge after her village was destroyed by Vlad Dracula. On top of that, her brother was kidnapped, and so you go on a quest of revenge to take down Dracula and rescue your brother. Now, as I mentioned, this is more of a run and gun shooter, but you use bow and arrows instead of guns. And so you'll acquire a variety of arrow types, but you also have a couple other movesets as well, where you can double jump, you can slide, and you even have a melee sword option you can use for close range attacks, but also to deflect arrows back at enemies. It is more of an arcade style game, so it is pretty challenging, so expect to die often until you really memorize the patterns and flow of the game. But it does have some different difficulty options to maybe make it a little bit more accessible. But I think if you like classic run and gun shooter games and the Castlevania series, you'll enjoy this game as well. Alright, the next game on the list is Omega Strike. And so this is a unique Metroidvania style game where you have the ability to play as multiple heroes at the same time and switch off between them throughout the game. And so you'll take on an evil Dr. Omega that's threatening the world, and you'll fight off his armies in this action platforming Metroidvania. And so like I said, you have different characters to choose from and play as throughout the game, and each one has their own unique set of abilities and different weapon types. So one will have like a machine gun that's kind of a straight on shot, another is a grenade launcher where that can bounce around the screen, another has more of a powerful shotgun, and then the characters have different unique abilities as well, where one of them is kind of your standard character, another one is a lot stronger that can move bricks and objects around, and another has a double jump. And as you progress and explore throughout the game, you'll unlock even more abilities for your characters as well. Now, it's not a super long Metroidvania game, but it does have this unique concept where you can switch between characters, so that's pretty cool. Plus, it's on a massive discount. So if you're looking for a new Metroidvania game with cool pixel artwork, great music, that's a lot of fun, this could be another great one to add to your collection. Alright, the final game on today's list is Akane. And so this game takes place in a futuristic cyberpunk world, and it's sort of an endless slasher game. And so you'll play in this arena room where enemies will continue to flood in across the screen, and you'll use a variety of guns and katanas to take out these different enemies. Now, another unique element to this game is that it's a one-hit kill and you're done. So if any of the enemies ever hit you, your run is over and you'll have to start over again. The good news is you're pretty quick and you have some dash abilities, and your weapons are incredibly strong to take out these enemies. And on top of that, you'll have a stamina bar that you need to manage as well. What's also really cool is, again, that you have these guns that you can use to shoot off enemies from a distance, but when you run out of ammo, you need to kill enemies in order to restore it. You'll also have an adrenaline bar that fills up, and when you hit specific checkpoints on that bar, you'll be able to unleash a special ability where you dash across the screen and slice through enemies. And if you let it fill up the entire way, you can do a massively devastating attack that can kill all the enemies on the screen. And so you'll fight through enemy after enemy, and each set of 100 you'll fight a boss that gives you another unique challenge throughout the game. On top of that, as you progress, you'll unlock new boots, new gloves, new katanas, and new guns, each with their own unique abilities. And so you can mix and match to best suit your playstyle, all while you try and get as far as you can throughout the game and kill as much enemies as you can. The gameplay isn't extremely deep, but it is incredibly addicting. And so if you like hacking and slashing your way through enemies, I think you'll enjoy this one as well and could be worth picking up. But again, that wraps up today's list of 10 new eShop sale games worth buying, all under $10. If you like this video, be sure to smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. If there's other great games on sale right now that I missed, let me know in the comments below. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, be sure to check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out, and to make sure you don't miss out on any other great deals and sales that happen to be going on. But thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.